At Thanksgiving, my stepbrother wrote Parasite on my name tag, while my mom laughed, so I cut them off and let the IRS wreck their lives. Hey Reddit, this is obviously a throwaway account for reasons that'll become clear pretty soon. I've been lurking for years, but never thought I'd be posting my own story here. It's long af, but trust me, the payoff is worth it. I'm Jade, 37 female, and I work as a veterinary surgeon in Boston. I specialize in orthopedic surgeries for large animals. Yeah, the complicated shit that takes hours and a steady hand. I finally bought my own townhouse last year after busting my ass for nearly a decade, got a decent retirement fund going, and even splurged on a nice car recently. On paper, I'm doing pretty good. Respected career, my own place, financial stability. But whenever I go back home for holidays, I'm instantly that awkward, unwanted 15-year-old girl again, especially around my mom. My parents split when I was like 12. Dad cheated with mom's coworker. Totally freaking cliche, right? Mom completely lost it when she found out. Crying, screaming, locked herself in her room for days, barely eating. Growing up, everyone always said I looked just like my dad. Same green eyes, same chin dimple, even had the same mannerisms when I talked. So every time mom looked at me after the divorce, I could see how much it hurt her. She'd say stuff like, Jade, you look just like your father, but never in a nice way, you know? There was always this underlying resentment in her voice, like I was personally responsible for what he did just because I shared his DNA. After the divorce was final, Dad moved across the country to California. We used to see each other monthly at first, but that completely faded after a while. Now we just exchange birthday texts and maybe a Christmas card. Real stand-up father of the year material right there. When I was 16, Mom remarried this guy Marcus. He was all right at first. Tried to act all cool stepdad for like the first month, then basically ignored me after that. He had a son named Tyler who was 2 years older than me. Tyler was what you'd call the golden child from day one. He was loud, charming around adults, and knew exactly how to make himself look good in front of my mom while being a complete asshole to me when no one was looking. After high school, Tyler spent a couple of years finding himself, aka playing video games in the basement, smoking weed, and working random jobs at bars when he needed cash. Eventually, we both started college the same year. Him at community college studying business administration, which he never shut up about. Me at a private university studying veterinary medicine. Got a full scholarship, which mom somehow always made sound like I'd taken the easy way out. This just made the gap between us even bigger. My mom would introduce us to people like, this is Tyler. He's studying business and networking with real entrepreneurs. And this is Jade. She's good with animals. The way she'd say it made my accomplishments sound like a cute little hobby. After college, I landed a job at a prestigious animal hospital in Boston. Tyler got a job at a car dealership nearby, which, don't get me wrong, is a fine job. But the way my mom talked about it, you'd think he was the CEO of Tesla. Tyler sells luxury vehicles to important people, she'd brag to anyone who'd listen. Meanwhile, I'd be performing complex surgeries, saving animals' lives. And she'd be like, Jade still plays with dogs at that clinic. At some point around 5 years ago, we found out Mom and Marcus were struggling with money in retirement. Marcus had apparently made some bad investments, and their savings were drying up fast. So Tyler and I agreed to help them out. I sent $1,800 every month, which was a significant chunk of my income back then. Tyler sent $500. But get this, Tyler told Mom all the money was coming from him, and she totally believed him. Even when I tried to explain that most of it was from me, she'd shake her head and say, Tyler would never lie like that. You're just jealous of him, as always. At first, I didn't really care. I was sending money to help her, not to get props. But over time, that BS started to sting. Like I was working 60-hour weeks, sometimes coming home covered in blood from emergency surgeries, just to send money to a mother who couldn't even acknowledge I was helping her. And whenever there was a money issue, Mom would call both of us. Jade, the refrigerator broke down and I can't afford to fix it. Jade, I've got surprise dental bills. JADE, the basement is flooding. And after I helped, which I always did, she'd always end with, Tyler covered the cost. He's such a wonderful son. He works so hard at the dealership to take care of us. The first few times, I corrected her. Mom, actually, I sent that money. She'd get this weird look on her face. Well, Tyler told me he handled it. He's lying to you. Look, I can show you the transfer from my account. Why are you always trying to cause problems, Jade? Tyler wouldn't lie about something like this. He takes care of us. Talking to Tyler about it was equally useless. I confronted him once after a particularly frustrating call with Mom. Why are you taking credit for my money? I asked him. He just shrugged, not even looking up from his phone. That's what Mom prefers to believe. She likes thinking I'm supporting her. It makes her happy. But it's not true. And it's my money. Look, he finally looked at me. Mom and I have a special relationship, okay? She needs to think I'm taking care of her. Your money helps, but let's be real. You've always been the odd one out in this family. Just let Mom have this. So I kept sending money, kept my mouth shut, and kept telling myself I wasn't trying to buy my mom's love. I was just doing the right thing, being the bigger person. But every month, writing that check felt worse and worse. I was financing their lifestyle while being treated like an afterthought. Fast forward to last week, probably the most important day of my life so far. My hands were sweaty AF on the steering wheel as I drove to Mom's house for Thanksgiving. My heart was pounding the whole time. I was headed to the annual Thanksgiving dinner at Mom's suburban house outside Boston. First time I'd gone in 3 years. Last time was during the pandemic, and it was a total disaster. I was telling everyone about this complicated spinal surgery I'd performed on a prize-winning show dog, when Mom cut me off saying, "Jade, you always focus on yourself. Have you ever stopped to think how Tyler might feel hearing about your job?" I shut up real quick, then Marcus added, "She's been like that forever, always thinking about herself." I felt like complete shit in front of everyone. Later, Tyler tried to comfort Mom by saying, "It's okay, Mom," like I had somehow upset her by talking about my career. I hadn't planned to go back this year, but Marcus had called me personally. "Your mother really misses you," he said, which I knew was bullshit. It would mean a lot if you came for Thanksgiving. At the time, some tiny part of me still hoped that maybe, just maybe, they actually wanted me there. When I got to Mom's place last week, there were already a bunch of cars outside. I parked in the farthest spot and grabbed my wine, checked myself in the mirror, fixed my maroon dress and black cardigan. Had done my hair all nice that morning, but the wind had messed it up some. As soon as I opened the door, I could hear kids running around and adults laughing from the living room. The house smelled like turkey, and that weird green bean casserole my mom always makes that nobody actually likes. Mom walked into the hallway and was like, "Oh, Jade, you came?" Like she was surprised. Probably thought I'd skip it for work. "Yeah," I said. "Marcus sent me an invite." I gave her a quick nod and held out the gift box. "Brought this gourmet truffle-infused cheese board set from that French shop downtown. They only make a few for the holidays. It cost me nearly $250, came in a custom walnut box, and was wrapped like it belonged in a Michelin star kitchen." She took it with a dry "thanks" and said, "Everyone's already inside. Your name tag is on the table by the door," before heading back to the kitchen without another glance. Frosty. Just like I remembered. I remember thinking it was weird to have name tags at a family Thanksgiving. Like, we're family. Who doesn't know who's who? But then I realized there were some new boyfriends, toss girlfriends, and distant relatives I hadn't met yet, so whatever. I walked over to the table where all the name tags were laid out neatly, searched for mine, and when I finally found it, my stomach dropped hard. The tag had my name, Jade Mitchell, but underneath in smaller letters, someone had written the word Parasite. At first, I thought it was some sick joke from one of the kids, but when I looked up, I saw Tyler smirking at me from across the room. He was watching me, waiting for my reaction. "Nice tag, huh?" he said, walking over. I just stared at the tag, completely shocked. "That's what you are, right?" He laughed. "And a cruel parasite, always coming around when you need something." Mom walked by, saw what was happening, and started laughing along with him. Not just a little chuckle, but full-on cackling like it was the funniest thing she'd ever seen. "Don't be so sensitive, Jade," she said when she saw my face. "It's just a joke between family." I stood there, holding the name tag, feeling like I'd been slapped. Tyler was wearing his usual show-off outfit, designer jeans and an expensive button-up shirt I'm pretty sure I'd paid for indirectly through my monthly contributions to the family. "It's been a while," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "The car business is booming," he replied. "Just sold a Porsche to some rich doctor yesterday." Then he winked at me. "Not everyone needs to cut open animals for a living." "I performed 3 surgeries yesterday that saved pets who are beloved family members," I said, unable to help myself. "Ah, saving the whittle puppies," Tyler said in a baby voice. "Meanwhile, I'm making real money in the real world." "Tyler's killing it at the dealership," Mom chimed in. "He's their top salesman now. They're talking about making him sales manager next year." "That's great," I said, forcing a smile. All those old feelings of being the outsider came rushing back. I remembered getting straight A's in school and showing her, and she'd just say, "That's expected." When I got my full-ride college scholarship, all she said was, "Good, that saves us money." When I told her about my first major surgery, She changed the subject to Tyler. He just got Employee of the Month again. She never once said she was proud of me. Not once in my entire life. I took a deep breath, and something inside me just shifted. I didn't show it, but at that moment, I decided I was finally done with this shit. All of it. The monthly payments, the emotional abuse, the constant gaslighting. I was done. You good? Tyler asked with fake concern. I'm fine, I said with a small smile. Let's go say hi to everyone. There were about 20 relatives in the living room. Uncles, aunts, cousins, some I hadn't seen in years. I greeted them all politely while they bombarded me with the usual questions. Jade, you're still single at your age. I heard you work with animals. That's nice, but don't you get tired of the smell? When are you going to settle down and have kids? Your biological clock is ticking. Don't you think it's time to find a real career? Being a vet is great, but you can't support a family on that. I smiled and answered everything nicely. By then, I'd hidden the Parasite name tag in my purse, replacing it with just my name. But I kept the original one. Something told me I might need evidence of their bullshit someday. As I circulated the room, I noticed something interesting. Marcus was talking to my Uncle Pete in the corner, and they both kept looking at me and then quickly looking away when I caught them. Later, I overheard Marcus saying something about investments and funding. I filed that away mentally. Something didn't feel right. My cousin, I'll call her Mia, who I've always been close with, pulled me aside. You okay? She asked quietly. You look tense. I'm fine, I lied. Just tired from work. I heard what Tyler's been saying about you, she whispered. That you're jealous of his success and that you've been trying to cause problems between him and your mom. I almost laughed. Is that what he's telling people? He told everyone you stopped contributing to your mom's monthly expenses because you're selfish, but then he stepped up to cover everything. Did he now? I said, my blood boiling. Well, that's interesting considering I'm the one who's been sending $1,800 every month for the past 5 years. Mia's eyes widened. Are you serious? He's been taking credit for your money? Yep, and Mom believes him. That's so messed up, Jade. You need to say something. I shook my head. Not today, but trust me, I will. When dinner time came, everyone sat at the big table as Mom paraded around with the turkey. The table was loaded with all the traditional stuff. Mom always did go all out for Thanksgiving. It was her time to show off to the extended family. She started the meal by asking Tyler to say grace, which was hilarious considering I'd never once seen him set foot in a church. But he put on this whole performance, talking about blessings and family unity, while I sat there thinking about the name tag in my purse. After the prayer, Mom started bragging about Tyler's recent success. Tyler sold the most expensive car at the dealership last month. The commission he made was unbelievable. Tyler smiled smugly. It was all right, he said, fake humble. Just doing my job. He's always been so modest, Mom said proudly, her face lighting up. And he just bought a new boat. He's taking us all out next summer. I stayed quiet and kept eating. I'd tried for years to get her approval, convinced myself I didn't care anymore. But deep down, it still hurt every single time. How about you, Jade? Asked Aunt Patricia. How's life in Boston? Before I could answer, Mom jumped in again. She's always working. She barely picks up the phone. Being a vet surgeon is demanding, I explained. But I enjoy it. A few weeks ago, I successfully performed a rare spinal surgery on a Great Dane and saved its life when 3 other vets said it couldn't be done. You must be rich now, Mom said, dropping her wine glass on the table a little too hard. But I guess you're too busy to think about your family, right? No one spoke for a second. That's not really true, I started, but Mom quickly stood up. Oh, I forgot the cranberry sauce, she said, rushing to the kitchen. Tyler gave me a fake sympathetic look. Don't take it personally. She just misses you. Right, I said. That's why she wrote Parasite on my name tag. It was just a joke, he said, but his eyes were cold. Maybe if you visited more than once every 3 years, she wouldn't feel the need to joke like that. I took a sip of my water instead of responding. No point arguing with someone who'd never admit they were wrong. My aunt looked uncomfortable. Well, I think it's wonderful you're doing so well in your career, Jade. Not many women make it to surgeon level so young. Thanks, I said, grateful for the one positive comment I'd received all day. After dinner, when it was time for dessert and coffee, Marcus stood up with a glass in his hand. I'm so happy everyone made it today, he said, especially on this Thanksgiving when we're all grateful for family. He made this whole speech about how important family is, how blood is thicker than water, and how we all need to support each other through tough times. Real rich, coming from a guy who'd been taking my money for years while treating me like garbage. Then he proudly talked about Tyler's recent achievement at the dealership and how Tyler was supporting the family and making sacrifices for all of us. Didn't say a single word about me, not even one. During his speech, I glanced around the table. Most of the family was nodding along, buying this whole performance. But Mia caught my eye and rolled hers slightly. At least someone saw through the bullshit. When people clapped at the end of Marcus's speech, I slowly took out my phone and checked some emails. One in particular made me smile for the first time that day. It was from a friend who worked for the State Financial Crimes Unit. "Call me ASAP," it said. "Found something interesting in those records you sent." I put my phone away, my mind now clear about what I needed to do. Years of therapy had taught me that sometimes the only way to deal with toxic people is to cut them off completely. But in this case, I decided cutting them off wasn't enough. They needed to face consequences for once in their lives. As I helped clear the table after dessert, Tyler cornered me by the kitchen. "Hey, sis," he said in that fake friendly voice he used when he wanted something. "I've been meaning to ask you about something." "What's that?" I asked, loading plates into the dishwasher. "I'm looking at investing in some property, and I know you've got that fancy Boston salary. Thought maybe you'd want to get in on the ground floor of something big." "You want me to invest in your property?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yeah, it's a sure thing. This guy I know is flipping houses in this up-and-coming neighborhood. Triple your money in 6 months, guaranteed." "Sounds too good to be true," I said. "That's because you don't know the real estate market like I do," he said condescendingly. "I was thinking maybe 50,000 to start. You must have that sitting around." That's when I finally snapped. "Yeah, that's going to be a hard no," I said, not even pretending to sugarcoat it. "If you're desperate, maybe try asking someone who doesn't remember being called a parasite over Thanksgiving dinner." His smirk faltered, but he still tried to play cool. "You sure? This opportunity won't last forever. Neither will your freedom," I shot back. "So maybe focus on that." Then I walked off before he could open his mouth again. As he walked away, I noticed Mom watching us from the doorway. A strange look on her face. She'd heard the whole conversation, but didn't say a word. Later that night, as everyone started to leave or head to their assigned sleeping areas, I was given the pull-out couch in the basement, of course, while Tyler had his old room preserved like a shrine. I overheard Marcus and Tyler talking in the garage. "Did she go for it?" Marcus asked. "Not yet, but she will," Tyler replied. "She's always trying to prove she's better than everyone. She'll want in just to show off. We need that money by next week, or the whole thing falls apart." "I know, don't worry, she's good for it. Worst case, I'll tell her mom needs emergency surgery or something. She always falls for that." I quietly backed away, my suspicions confirmed. They weren't just using me for monthly support. They were actively trying to scam me out of even more money. That night, lying on the uncomfortable pull-out couch, I made a plan. It was time to stop playing the victim in this family dynamic. I had the resources, the evidence, and now the motivation to finally stand up for myself. The next morning, while everyone was still out cold from the Thanksgiving food coma, I slipped into the basement guest room and made the call. The agent on the line didn't waste time. He confirmed everything I'd been piecing together. Tyler had been pushing shady loans onto elderly people, setting them up to fail so he could rake in commissions, then circling back to resell the same vehicles for more profit. It was a twisted little operation and illegal from every angle. As if that wasn't enough, Marcus had been pocketing my monthly payments under the table, labeling them as fake business income to skirt taxes. I agreed to give a full statement, hung up, and walked upstairs calm as ever, catching Mom half asleep making coffee, totally clueless that the storm I'd quietly unleashed was already on its way. "You're up early," she said. "Just have some work to do," I replied casually. By midday, most of the extended family had left. Only the core remained. Mom, Marcus, Tyler, and a couple of cousins who were staying the weekend. As we sat for leftover turkey sandwiches, Tyler's phone rang. His face went pale as he answered it. "What? No, there must be some mistake," he stammered, walking out of the room. When he came back, he looked shaken. "Everything okay?" I asked innocently. "Just work stuff," he muttered. Mom looked concerned. "What's wrong, honey?" "Nothing," he snapped. "Just some mix-up with a customer's financing." I hid my smile behind my napkin. It wasn't a mix-up at all. It was the beginning of the end. During lunch, I decided to play dumb and get more information. "So Tyler, tell me more about this investment opportunity. Who's the developer?" Tyler's eyes lit up, thinking I was actually interested. "I know you'd cave. It's this guy Marcus knows from his construction days. They're buying foreclosed properties, fixing them up, and flipping them. Sounds interesting. And you said I could triple my investment in 6 months?" "Easily," he said. "We've already got 10 investors on board." I asked if any of them were familiar, and he casually dropped that the sweet neighbor down the street had thrown in 30,000, and some retired couple had gone all in with their entire savings. I nodded, making mental notes of names. And where are these properties located? All over, he said vaguely. We've got some really prime spots. Can I see the prospectus? I asked. The what? Tyler looked confused. The investment prospectus. The legal document outlining the investment terms, risk factors, projected returns. Oh, we're still getting that together, he stammered. But trust me, it's legit. I'm sure it is, I said with a smile. I'll just need to see all the paperwork before I make a decision. Tyler looked at Marcus, who jumped in smoothly. Of course, of course. We're just waiting on some final details from the lawyer. But we can put your name down as interested, right? Sure, I said. Put me down. That evening, I made an excuse about needing to get back to Boston for an emergency surgery. As I was leaving, Tyler cornered me by my car. What did you do? He hissed. What are you talking about? I asked, keeping my face neutral. The dealership is being audited. Today. Thanksgiving weekend. That's not a coincidence. I shrugged. Sounds like bad luck. If I find out you had anything to do with this, you'll what? I challenged. Call me a parasite again? Ask me for $50,000 for your fake investment scheme? His face froze. What are you talking about? I'm not stupid, Tyler. I know a scam when I see one, and I know you've been taking credit for my money for years. That's not... Save it, I cut him off. I don't want to hear it. Good luck with your audit. I got in my car and drove away, watching his angry face grow smaller in my rearview mirror. 2 weeks later, local news reported that a car dealership was under investigation for predatory lending practices targeting elderly customers. Tyler wasn't named, but I knew it was just a matter of time. The phone calls started coming in immediately. What the hell did you do? Mom screamed into the phone. Tyler's being investigated. They're saying he defrauded elderly customers. That sounds serious, I said calmly. Maybe he shouldn't have done that. He didn't do anything wrong. Those old people knew what they were signing. Did they? Or did Tyler target vulnerable seniors and trick them into loans they couldn't afford just so he could make his commission? Who told you that? She demanded. Nobody had to tell me. I've been watching Tyler manipulate people his entire life. It was only a matter of time before he got caught. You reported him, didn't you? Your own brother. Stepbrother, I corrected. And I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe someone at the dealership got tired of his schemes. She hung up on me. I blocked her number. That night, I drafted emails to all the people Tyler had mentioned as investors. I warned them about potential fraud and advised them to contact the State Financial Protection Bureau. I didn't know if I was too late to save their money, but I had to try. Over the next 3 weeks, I executed my plan with surgical precision. First, the dealership investigation expanded. Tyler's name finally hit the news as the salesman who specifically targeted senior citizens with complicated, high-interest loans they couldn't afford. His phone calls to me became increasingly desperate, coming from new numbers since I'd blocked his main one. Jade, they're saying I could go to jail. You've got to help me. I just replied, that's terrible. Have you asked Mom for help? Mom can't help with this. I need a lawyer, a good one. Can you lend me $10,000 for a retainer? Sorry, I've already invested all my spare cash in a promising real estate venture, I texted back. Triple my money in 6 months. Guaranteed. He didn't respond to that one. Then I forwarded all the records of my payments to Mom and Marcus to the IRS, along with evidence that they'd been claiming it as business income on Marcus's side carpentry business to avoid taxes. I included bank statements, text messages, emails, everything I'd been meticulously documenting for years, just in case. The week before Christmas, Mom called me from a new number I hadn't blocked yet. The IRS is auditing us, she cried. They're saying we committed tax fraud. Marcus is losing his mind. That's awful, I said. Maybe Tyler can help? He's so successful, right? Tyler's facing his own legal troubles, she sobbed. Please, Jade, we need help. I'm sorry to hear that, I replied, my voice level. By the way, did you ever tell Marcus about that name tag at Thanksgiving? The one where Tyler called me a parasite and you laughed? The line went silent. What does that have to do with anything? She finally asked. Just curious if Marcus knows who's actually been supporting you both all these years. Another pause. Jade, her voice dropped to a whisper. Did you do this to us? I have to go, I said. I have a surgery in the morning. Good luck with the audit. Then I blocked that number too. In January, I received a certified letter from Marcus, begging for help. Apparently, their house flipping scheme had completely fallen apart. The developer had taken the investors' money and disappeared. The Johnsons were suing them. That neighbor had reported them to the police. And with the IRS audit ongoing, they were in serious financial trouble. I filed the letter away with the name tag as evidence of their character. By March, Tyler's trial was underway. The evidence against him was overwhelming. Multiple elderly victims testified about how he'd pressured them into loans they couldn't afford, falsified their income on applications, and promised them deals he never delivered. He was facing multiple felony charges of fraud, elder abuse, and deceptive business practices. Marcus and Mom had to sell their house to pay for Tyler's defense and their own tax penalties. Their marriage was crumbling under the stress. According to Mia, who still kept in touch with me, they were fighting constantly, with Marcus blaming Mom for Tyler's bad character and Mom blaming Marcus for the failed investment scheme. I watched it all from a distance, focusing on my career and my own life. I got promoted to head of surgery at my hospital, bought a vacation cabin in Vermont, and even started dating someone who actually respected me. For the first time in my life, I felt free. I'd stopped sending money to my family, stopped trying to earn their approval, and stopped letting them make me feel like I wasn't enough. Last week, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find my mom standing there, looking like she'd aged 10 years. "Jade," she said, her eyes hollow. "Can I come in? I have nowhere else to go." I studied her. The domineering woman who had belittled me my entire life now stood broken on my doorstep. "Why should I help you?" I asked quietly. "Because I'm your mother," she said. Like that explained everything. "You know," I said, leaning against the doorframe, "I kept sending that money for years. Not because I wanted credit, but because I thought eventually you'd see me. Actually see me. But you never did." "I can change," she whispered. "Things are different now. Tyler's going to jail. Marcus left me for his secretary. The house is gone. I've got nothing left. So now you come to me?" I asked. "Now that everyone else has abandoned you? Suddenly I'm worth something to you? I know I've made mistakes." "Mistakes?" I cut her off. "You spent my entire life making me feel worthless. You laughed when Tyler called me a parasite, when I was the one supporting you. You took my money for years while treating me like garbage. Those aren't mistakes, Mom. Those are choices." "I'm sorry," she said, tears running down her face. "I really am. I can change too," I replied. And I did. "Goodbye, Mom." I closed the door gently and walked back to my living room, feeling lighter than I had in decades. A week later, Mia called to tell me that Mom was living in a women's shelter. "She's got nowhere to go, Jade. Couldn't you help her, just a little?" "I helped her for years," I said. "Now she can help herself." "That's cold," Mia said. "So was growing up with her as a mother," I replied. 6 months later, I received a letter at my clinic. I recognized the handwriting immediately. It was hers. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside, in angry writing, it said, "Jade, I will never forget how you ruined everything. I raised you, and in return, you turned into an ungrateful, cruel person. Tyler had a kinder heart than you ever did. What a curse it was to have a daughter so heartless. Just like your father who abandoned me. You are no different. You destroyed my world and felt nothing. May God punish you. Diana." I quietly put the letter in the garbage. The past doesn't own me anymore. I don't need to go back there. This is my life now. Strong and free. Built from everything I survived. Today, Tyler is serving 5 years for fraud. Mom is working at a gas station convenience store and living in a tiny apartment with a roommate. Marcus moved to Florida with his secretary. The developer who ran their investment scam was caught and is also facing prison time. And me? I just got promoted to chief of veterinary medicine at my hospital. I bought a second investment property. I'm engaged to someone who loves and respects me. I'm finally living the life I deserve. Sometimes people ask if I feel guilty for what happened to my family. The answer is no. I didn't commit fraud. I didn't scam elderly people. I didn't evade taxes. I simply stopped enabling them and let the consequences of their own actions catch up to them. After a lifetime of being used, manipulated, and devalued, I finally stood up for myself, and that's something I'll never feel guilty about. Sometimes I think about that Thanksgiving dinner and that stupid Parasite name tag. It was such a small thing, but it was the moment everything changed for me. It was like seeing my entire life with my family in perfect clarity for the first time. I think about all the Thanksgivings, Christmases, and birthdays where I was treated as an afterthought while Tyler was the golden child. I think about the $1,800 I sent every month for 5 years. That's over $100,000 total, while being called a parasite behind my back. And I don't regret a damn thing about how it all turned out. The thing about enablers is that they'll keep taking as long as you keep giving. My mom, Marcus, Tyler, they were never going to change as long as I kept playing my assigned role in their fucked up family dynamic. Sometimes the only way to win is to flip the whole table over and walk away. So yeah, maybe it was petty revenge. Maybe it was nuclear, but after what they put me through, it was totally worth it. Edit. For those saying I'm the asshole for not helping my mom, where was this energy when she was treating me like shit for 30 plus years? I didn't put her in the shelter. Her choices did.